We are 7 months in, and this is possibly the absolute best. Actually, there's no debate. This is the best year that we've had in gaming since the pandemic. The pandemic ruined everything from movies, television shows, to just outside events, everything you can think of. And in the gaming industry, we got hindered completely. And the PS5 and Xbox Series X, let's be honest, it's been a little bit lackluster of a generation. But this year alone, we've gotten bangers after bangers, right? But that's not all that's been happening this year. We've recognized that studios have been closing left and right. We've seen that developers get fired. There's just mass firings. We're noticing that the digital era it's always been here. I don't want to act like we've never seen it coming or that we didn't know that these companies were going to issue out this new wave of like, hey, this only going to be digital. It was coming. We knew that it was going to come. We didn't know at what cost. We didn't know for what reason. I would assume that it was tariffs. I knew that the RAM shortage was going to create such an insane like mass thing of like price hikes and stuff like that with PC parts and console parts and stuff like that. So I knew all these things were going to happen. I just like to report to you guys all the stuff that's going on, and I still express my concerns because I still feel like as a consumer, we're seeing less and less of the way we kind of operate as collectors, as gamers, because we have to now wait and see what's actually going to happen. But there's even more things that's going on. Man, so first off, after Rockstar reportedly and supposedly from all these insiders, Rockstar made over $1 billion their first 24 hours of the pre-orders. Now, there's a chance I think they made over $1 to $3 billion, but I'm gonna be on the safe side and say that I trust the sources that said 1 billion. That seems more reasonable, more fair. That exaggerated point, Rockstar needs to be the ones to put that statement out, right? However, due to all these mass firings and everything you see going down with Microsoft, because it is looking so crazy the way Microsoft did an event, and half of those games that they showed are now being up for grabs, and like these studios are like for sale, and people are getting fired. Even the PR companies are getting fired from Microsoft. It's crazy. It's looking bad. Rockstar employees are trying to get unionized. Before the game comes out, and not only just because of the fact that they're in fear that their job might be at a loss, because believe it or not, Rockstar has one of the biggest companies. They employ about 3,900 to 6,000 employees, whereas we've seen a drop of 1,000 employees on Microsoft, Sony, and others because they just been firing people left and right. It's been insane. But I feel like this is also happening because from an article I read, it's all starting to make sense. So let's actually talk about it. It's fucked up, but you know what? I hope these employees, I hope people who work for Rockstar and other employees really get what they deserve. They've been putting in so much work, and the article I just read is so crazy, y'all. So let's actually talk about it. It's GTA 6. We know this game is going to be the biggest game of the decade. There's no doubt about that. GTA 6 is about to create new creators. It's about to create new celebrities. It's about to change people's lives. And if you guys don't think so, look at every major game that has come out. It has changed the landscape of how people stream, how people put out YouTube, and it actually changed so many people's lives. And to this day, I am actually super grateful to even be able to witness that, partake in so many pieces of it on YouTube. But man, it's gonna change forever. So that being said, employees came out and started accusing Rockstar, well, not accusing Rockstar, Rockstar's being accused, allegedly, of basically having their employees work under insane working conditions under crunch. For those that don't know what crunch means, it's basically when in the gaming industry, you work under excruciating like conditions over 60 to 100 hours a week. And a lot of people suffer from a lot of health problems and a lot of different issues due to the fact that you're giving so little time for yourself and your own life, and you have to constantly be working just to meet strict demands. That right there has happened to games like Cyberpunk. That was the most craziest thing I've ever seen happen because the game came out all messed up by CD Projekt Red. People were sick. I think people died from that. I'm not sure if people died. I think people got seriously sick. And it was said that CD Projekt Red had them working under crunch. They were just working under crunch conditions. And seeing that these employees are working under those conditions, they also reported that Rockstar is offering them like some sort of bonus for working all these conditions, but they're using it as a way to play safe, to make it seem like they're not working under crunch. But when they actually look at it on face value, you have these people working nonstop. They know they need to meet these demands. They need to make sure that this game is going to come out November 19th is going to be flawless. It needs to go gold. They need to make sure that the multiplayer upgrade or update or whatever they're going to end up doing is going to meet the standards. There, look, you want to know how bad we know that it is? The simple fact that we all know about earnings calls, and Strauss Zelnick is so confident in speaking about all these properties and these elements of what Rockstar Games is about and who they are and their integrity. And we see this and we're actually reporting it. We don't normally do that with video games. We talk about the little interviews on IGN and stuff, but we never get that deep into the stock market of things when we talk about video games. That's not even like what we do as consumers. We get the games, we play it, we might watch our favorite creator talk about it, but we don't actually know the ins and outs on things on a higher level. But we do with Rockstar, right? So seeing the employees under an immense amount of pressure, I could understand why they feel like they're under crunch. They want to make sure that they're not doing all this and they're going to get hit with the Microsoft treatment where they get kicked to the curb as soon as the game gets launched. Because that's crazy. And that's what's been happening to half of these employees all over, even on Sony's side. People have been getting fired left and right. It's actually crazy. So let me just read this article because it's unfortunate, man. I don't want to see that happen to nobody. As much as I want the games to come out, but these conditions are bad because you got to remember, these employees also work on Red Dead Redemption 2 online. They're working to always patch and fix those games. Then you got to split the team to work on GTA Online, GTA 5 updates, and all these other things. And I know they're dropping one more heist, but people are actively developing. It's not like the average workplace. Like when I worked at a hospital and they had me work an extra 12-hour shift, I got mandated. They gave me my break. But imagine being a game developer. You're coding for hours. You're sitting for hours. You have to come back into work. Your job, your paycheck, you feeding your family relies on making sure that you are completing this game. And us as consumers, I'm like, dude, where my game at, bitch? Like, you know what I mean? It's actually fucked up. But I'm not laughing at them working on the crunch. I'm laughing at how, like, we don't be knowing this. And it's important to know this because it's like, man, like all these companies be just throwing they dev team under and they just fire them. So let me read this. GTA 6 developer Rockstar accused of enforcing crunch, weaponizing bonus payments, and ignoring widening gender pay gap. I do want to say, I don't want to make this video about being anything negative. I'm super excited for GTA. I just thought I should report on this part because I want people to understand when we all ask, where's the trailers? The first thing that really comes to mind in my head, because now that I know all this, is, man, I wonder what's going on over there, because they did have a couple of issues several months ago, but yet Strauss Zelnick is saying the game is still going to come out, at the same date. Don't worry, the game is set to come out. So it's just knowing that they're dealing with so much different things going on, and this is such a big one. So let's go ahead and read this. I just don't want to, sometimes I think game companies or companies like outlets and stuff, IGN, it could be Eurogamer, it could be whoever, GameSpot. Sometimes they use certain language that sounds so extreme, and it sucks because then it makes it seem like I'm forcing my hand to be negative. I'm more so just reporting what I'm, what the title is, but that sounds crazy. Weaponizing bonus payments. Another one says here, Rockstar accused of ignoring pay inequity, mandating crunch, and weaponizing bonuses. So let's go ahead and read here. It says multiple Rockstar developers have accused the company of failing to address gender-based pay inequity. That's never a good thing. And to be quite honest, I don't want nobody to dismiss the thoughts of it. And the reason why I'm also reporting this, as you guys are so excited for GTA, and I am, and I'm still going to report GTA news, of course, I think I've had that much fun having a conversation with a lot of you guys in the comment section, seeing your thoughts and you guys expressing how much you either dislike or like physical media or whatever Rockstar's doing with GTA's Ultimate Edition, all that stuff. It's bringing that love for like wanting to have that conversation. So I'm like, let me pick their brain on this because I wonder how they feel about this. The casual gamer who's average person who's watching my video, how does this make you feel? Like, do you even care about this? Is this something that's like, interesting to learn? And for me, I never used to care until one day I was like, I went to E3 several times and I started talking to devs, and I'm like, that's when I found out that EA didn't want to put a budget on NBA Live, and the devs told me straight up, like, yeah, they don't want to give us that much. We only got like several $100,000 to help make the game and all those other things, and I guess a little bit more. And I was like, wow. And like they barely had anybody to be scanning the game. Like, it was really sad to hear. So let me read this. It says multiple Rockstar developers have accused the company of failing to address gender-based pay inequity, actively striving to facilitate crunch in the United Kingdom, and weaponizing bonus payments against employees. In a wide-ranging interview with game developer, three members of the Rockstar Game Workers Union, who who chose to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal. Excuse me if I can't pronounce names right now. It's super late. Claim the studio is failing the people responsible for crafting Grand Theft Auto 6, which is expected to become one of the most lucrative video games in history when it launches November 2026. Those who spoke with the game developer are not part of the cohort of fired workers currently embroiled in a legal dispute with Take-Two Interactive subsidiary over allegations of union busting. That's something that was happening months back. Some form of it when I worked at the hospital for like 8 years. It's pretty much, it'll be like your employer like stalling on negotiating contracts. They could like stall on addressing issues that are happening in whatever facility or wherever you work at, whether you feel like you're being mistreated or you feel like you're supposed to talk about vacation. And when you keep expressing that there's a concern here, nobody's listening, and you may just, out of nowhere say, hey, look, I'm calling out of work. There's weird things that they do to create loopholes to kind of weaken you as the employee, and they can go ahead and fire you. It seems like some retaliation tactic that they end up pulling. Also ways to weaken unions, so that way unions and you as the employee don't really have a fighting chance at anything. Yeah, they got actually exposed for union busting. And it's sad because we ignore all these things because Grand Theft Auto 6 is the biggest game pretty much ever. And so we always think hopefully they're being taken care of. In fact, I believe a lot of us back at home, we all believe that Rockstar devs are like gold mines, right? Like they're like diamonds in the rough, so to speak, because they make such an amazing product. We don't think that bad things happen to them in the workplace. And that's the really sad reality that, yes, these things do occur. It doesn't matter where you're at. They are, however, all union members currently seeking voluntary recognition who feel Rockstar is letting them down. Discussing the state of compensation. So I believe they do have some sort of union there, but they're trying to push union rights against amongst all employees, and I guess more rights to kind of prevent them from getting fired, because again, this is all crazy, and we absolutely know Rockstar is not losing money. They're making money. Okay, this is not the same like Activision. It says, discussing the state of compensation at the company, they explain how a lack of transparency around pay and bonuses can leave staff in a lurch. They claim that as it stands, a considerable portion of most employees' compensation package comes in the form of bonuses that fluctuate widely, often without obvious justification. Terrible, bro. That sucks. They claim that lack of consistency often means the compensation received by Rockstar workers fall below the market rate when compared with adjacent industry work. That is actually kind of crazy if like a company like Rockstar, which under Take-Two, they make billions, and you're seeing them make like $25 an hour. I don't know why in my brain, I look at devs like Rockstar, Naughty Dog and them, and I think like they're making 50 to 75 an hour, like close to what nurses make. I know you guys might think it's crazy, but when you're a juggernaut like that, like I would have assumed Call of Duty devs were getting paid that much when Call of Duty was at its peak. But unfortunately, that's not the case at all, like at all. It says when the bonus is particularly good, it can be a windfall, but often the bonus is disappointing and one can end up being paid considerably less than expected for the year. The reasoning given for this is often nebulous, inconsistent between departments, even inconsistent between team members within the same department, and sometimes hinges on completely subjective or retroactive criticisms, said one source. So basically, if anybody has any criticisms or people are voicing concerns, as human beings, you should be allowed to, I guess, they are hit with like some sort of retaliation, ball busting, or some sort of like consequence or punishment. And it's unfortunate because everybody deserves equal pay. Obviously, there's branches to this shit. You might have a game designer, a coder, the online people who work on online. There's different levels to this. It says game developer was also told that promotions are difficult to secure at Rockstar because the studio regularly shifts the goalpost when career progression is discussed. Wow. There are those within Rockstar and Take-Two with hundreds of millions of pounds, because we're talking about UK. There are those receiving excellent pay for their work and are grateful. And there are certainly those that are woefully underpaid for their efforts and the incredible profits gained, especially when you consider that the company gets hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks, millions in tax breaks for their UK workers, added one source. It seemed like the company thinks that offering specific limited compensation as an incentive for overtime means it no longer qualifies as crunch. Notably, we were informed that Rockstar attempts to normalize crunch. that widely criticized practice of forcing employees to work extraordinary hours or amount of time of overtime to bring a video game to market by essentially baking it into contracts of UK workers. Crunch is prevalent enough that the company built into our contracts as standard and an opt out of working regular time schedules that steps your employee being able to ask you to do more than 10 extra hours each week, explained one source. The union successfully ran a campaign to inform people they could opt out or back into the regulations at any time, which resulted in Rockstar management simplifying the process and removing the obligation to meet with HR. That is crazy. Part of the problem with crunch is that there is not an agreed definition, and not now, but it seems like the company thinks that offering specific limited compensation as an incentive for overtime means it no longer qualifies as crunch. So they might give you a few extra dollars, and you know these people need that money to feed their families, right? So they'll look at it like that and be like, all right, but it doesn't count as crunch, so you can't complain to HR about it because we're actually paying you for this line of work. That right there on in fine print, like tiny fine print, is fucked up. Like, that's not what you do. That right there is insane. This article goes on and on and on. And lastly, it says, we strive to make the best video games possible by giving our talented teams world-class work environments and ongoing career opportunities. We have fostered a culture which is focused on teamwork, excellence, and kindness. And we support one another and reward the team across all levels of the business through competitive compensation and benefit policies. We are proud that as a result of our employee retention, it is well above the industry standard. We have received a request from a union seeking to discuss voluntary recognition. We value an open and constructive dialogue with all stakeholders and will arrange to meet. That's what a Take-Two Interactive spokesman provided the following statement when approached for the comment. I hope it happens. I want to see Rockstar pull a W with this. I want to see GTA 6 come out with a win. I don't want to hear that people going through some crazy ass work conditions. That shit is so crazy. I don't want to hear about that, man. That sucks. You know, all these working conditions, and all of a sudden we get mad when games get delayed, but you got these people working all types of fucking hours, and they're working different shifts to put out this product. And look, it just, doesn't work out at the end. And that's why people believe there might be a delay. There might be a delay. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This is actually pretty messed up. But I just hope in good grace that Rockstar is one of the companies that when you look at them, not only are they a juggernaut of a game that can be in the space of like Epic Games or NetEase, Tencent, like all these expensive, like Embracer Group, just on their own merit, but you also got to like understand that these guys are in it for the money, and you just hope that they're taking care of their people. I'm out of here. It's your boy 3MG. God bless.